You're listening to the Mental Money Podcast, the show that shows you how to master your mind to maximize your money. This show is for people who love to watch their bank accounts grow while shifting their relationship to money. Without further ado, let's get these insider insights from today's leading expert. All right, so for those of us who don't know Success Jr. by now, this is Success. We're interviewing him on the Mental Money Podcast. And this is not very typical of who we would have on, but I thought it might be an interesting spin because I'm sure you have a lot of insight to offer as far as like the money side of entertainment. Yeah, see, you just came off of what, like a 1-month tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I feel like you make mistakes, right? People go to school and then and then you pay that tuition.
Right.
And some people don't go to school and feel like, hey, you know what I mean? You pay anyways.
Yeah.
You pay for your education. Yeah. And I learned that quickly when it came to comedy, the chips, and it was just like, I'm still learning. It's almost like I got back into like school. Like I'm reading books, leisure time, and it came from losing so much money.
Right, I'm sure. Okay, cool. So I'm sure, like I said, you'll have a lot of insights into like the back end stuff that most people don't get to see. I'm sure people have questions about because comedy looks real cute online. It looks real entertaining as far as like, you know, the content that you put out or like the allure or the glamour of being on tour. But I'm sure there are a lot of pieces in the back end that people don't get to see. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we do that, the podcast is typically split up into 2 sections. So the first part is mindset, which is the mental part, and then money, which is the money part. So let's talk a little bit about mindset. What actually set you out on the career to do comedy of all things?
I actually hated to do, well, it's not that I hated comedy. It was something, I know it's cliche as this may sound, all right? Everybody's saying since they were a kid, whatever. I literally was a class clown since elementary school. And it to the point that like I got a trophy for it. Of course I got a beating for getting a trophy for being a class clown. But it was always like a career choice that no matter what, like I tried to go to school for nursing, didn't work. What else? Physical therapy didn't work. And it all led me back to comedy. But I've built a business mindset. So it kind of helped me, you know, elevate it, take what I'm doing to another level than just the average person just doing social media influence or stand-up comedy, that is. But yeah, to answer the question, what drove me to do it, I say the universe, because I tried to quit it so many times. There were times where it wasn't lucrative. My mother was bashing me at the same time to pay bills and stuff. And it's kind of hard to tell her like, hey, I'm doing comedy, but I just got $50 for 30 minutes.
So when you went into it, did you know how you were going to monetize it? Or was it just a thing where you're just kind of like going with the flow and seeing where it went?
I was going with the flow because I had job security. So I was working at MedPlus centers. And I was in school for physical therapy assistant. So I was more so working on my plan B. Gotcha. But I knew like it, you know, doing nothing was not an option. I was actually enrolled in school to finish my degree for radio and TV broadcasting. And when I seen another person who I was working security with got the same degree and she was still working security way after she got a degree, I had to make the conscious decision to go to like a plan C. So plan A was stand-up comedy. Plan B was radio, TV broadcasting. And then plan C was like, hey, now you need to get something secure enough to get you to plan B to get you to plan A.
Okay. So what did that look like?
Originally it was supposed to look like I get the degree in radio, TV broadcast. Well, I get the physical therapy. I work in physical therapy, and then I'll fund the rest of my schooling for radio, TV broadcasting because school wasn't free, and I was raised on no loans, no credit cards.
Right.
So the only way to fund that is if I am making legit money. So I thought that, once I do that, then I could pay for myself to advertise across the country and drive, because I understand, well, at the time, the only way to like really get followers and popular was you had to go to like different clubs throughout the country to, to make a name of yourself. Now it's a little different, but
right.
So that was my goal at first, was to like, just get in the car and travel and just hit up great spots and make a name for myself.
Interesting.
But obviously that changed.
Okay, well, with now the internet changing so much, or the internet influencing your work so much, how do you leverage that now? Or what's your mindset as far as like outreach now?
My mindset, well, being that I'm in a niche market, my mindset is made to always cater to my base, because my base is the one that's going to take me to the next level. A lot of people make the bad decision, or I'm not gonna say bad decision. They make a decision to say, like, within the community, oh, there's a cap, there's this and there's that. And I understand that, because there is a cap, but right. As a Haitian American, that cap really doesn't pertain to us, because we're not the young, we're not like our parents would taking jobs and try to, survive and build a family here because they just came from Haiti. Like, we right. have the education, we have the money, we have Haitians in high places. So these are the people who are now coming to my comedy shows, and these are who I cater to, because these are the people who are paying to see me. So I don't really need to worry about a cap, because my goal is to make the art of Haitian comedy bigger than what it is, and that'll take funding and sacrifices.
Interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is that you're aligning yourself with key decision makers as far as like ways to leverage yourself. They'll be able to integrate into that in some way.
Correct.
So networking.
Correct. Of course. Okay. AKA Sumun, with a lot of Haitians call
Don't do that. Don't do that. So, well, I mean, that is one way to look at it. How do you navigate people saying that it's sumun to be networking when that's something that you have to do and you have to build those connections?
Well, at that point, you gotta. It all goes down to how bad you want it. If you want something, like, let's say you're a photographer, right. And you see this famous photographer at well, let's not say Walmart, but let's say you're at an event and this other famous photographer is there that you love and that can give you pointers, but yet you won't speak to him because that's sumun, and right. Black people say dick ride, or they'll right. say whatever, which is like crazy to me, because it hinders us, it stops us right. from potential. Because a lot of people, I'm interested in their business, and they'd be so nervous to come up to me and tell me about their business. But I'm like, man, this is dope. Like, yeah, I want in on this.
Right.
But a lot of people don't.
What do you think that's rooted in? That like attitude of not wanting to make that approach, or not like giving people their flowers?
It's something within the culture, and I can't even like pinpoint it. It's something mental for somebody to be like, or Babli fe sumun, or Babli fe ati suwen. Like, that's a negative. I can't pinpoint where it came from, but we know it exists.
Right.
And
for sure.
We know it exists. And I feel like that's a blessing of mine, because I was looking back earlier, like I was trained for this early on, because I won most friendly, right? Listen,
no, I hear you, right?
I won most friendly in school. I got picked on so bad for winning. I told you I won class clown, but I left out most friendly. I always leave that out,
right?
And now I think about it, like it helps. From early on, I was able to speak to anybody. So the most friendly was just like, I'm able to, whatever. But it worked out now. I'm not like a
weird social person, and you can't approach people. So for those of us who aren't Haitian and don't know what like Acheter Figi is, like, how would you describe that?
Ashefigi, direct translation is by your face.
Right.
And what it really means is like I ain't trying to get you to like me. I ain't trying to get you to I can't really.
Yeah, the direct translations never work.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't. It's just we just know what it is. Like Ashefigi means by in your face, but in translation, it just I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was hoping you would, because I don't know how to either. All right, so let's transition a little bit. So you mentioned your parents earlier as far as, you know, what the expectations were of you, and you've mentioned in other interviews, we don't have to go down that whole road again, but how, you know, your mom didn't want you to go into comedy and she pretty much ostracized you for it, and so to some degree, and your dad doesn't really understand what it is either. From where you are now, I'm sure they've seen some changes from when you started. What's their reception to what you're doing now?
Oh, now my mom is trying to tell me to call her so she can help me with my Creole in the videos. And
of course.
Like now, like whenever I have shows in different cities, she's calling her family members and she's calling me. Oh, I need 2 tickets. I need this. I need that. I'm like, dang, like you told. I got kicked out my house because my mom thought I went to a club. Okay. I performed for Florida Memorial University, a Haitian club. And after performing, they gave me a certificate. And I went home and I put the certificate down. And it says, let's say Haitian Creole Club of Florida Memorial. Before I woke up the next morning,
she was belt ready.
Half of my family already heard that I was in clubs. She went to my sister. I thought you know in the club. And yeah, she, this comedy thing. And one of the biggest pushback was when I first told her I was doing it, she asked me where, and I said clubs and lounges. And I did not know in Haiti, that's lounges like where the prostitutes.
Right.
So they just put lounge in Haiti, lounge here. Man, it's probably prostitutes here, but whatever. It's not broadcast
the same,
that way.
Right. Yeah.
So it was very tough, but now she's very supportive. My dad, who was like, not with it at all, him being a scholar, now he's very supportive, and now he's giving me ideas and stuff. So that's exciting.
Good. Did they ever like formally apologize for it, or is like the new behavior the apology?
New behavior.
Okay. Gotcha.
New behavior. I feel like my dad and I, we got close in 2020. Like that's when we kind of, yeah. Excuse me.
It's okay. He wants to be a part of the conversation. I understand.
Yeah. Can I put him in the basement?
Let's talk about dealing with rejection and like people not seeing your vision. How do you navigate that as a creative?
So Michael Jordan creates like different situations in his head. And it's more like, and it's to better explain it for me, rejection, I just I have like this file cabinet in my head, like, all right, I'm gonna put you in that list. You're gonna come back. You're gonna come back. So it's almost like a sense of, I dare you to reject me. Right. And it's not like I'm looking forward to rejection,
right? But
I've used it as fuel. So yeah, rejection is not something I'm scared of. Not in the industry, that is.
Okay. Yeah. So if you were speaking to someone who is, what would you tell them as far as navigating having to hear no, because that's a natural part of the process?
I have a cousin who owns a mechanical brush that's innovative and just came out. And I told him the same thing. Online. Yeah, I told him the same thing. You have to use your no's as fuel, because the no's are inevitable. They're going to come. No one not heard no. Even Donald Trump heard no. Like everybody heard no. And so if I feel like a lot of people, if you have that mindset knowing that you will hear 10 no's before you hear one yes, then it's just like, all right, cool. but that also comes with self-confidence within yourself and your ability in your craft or work. So yeah, it's I throw a million shots a day. I be texting random, like drop, like Caitlyn Jenner text me back. It was weird, but I just be, yeah.
Did you say Caitlyn Jenner?
I DM people. I DM people like and I'm talking about like regular conversations. Like, and I think I saluted Caitlyn Jenner for what she's doing. Like she's a transgender Republican. And you know, those people are very conservative. And so I would text like that, and she texts back like, "Oh, thank you. Let me know when you know what I mean? We can link up." Now, my community, I don't know what we could do to link up, but
right.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, I definitely have the confidence, and I understand. I go into to almost every situation like I might hear a no, and embrace myself, because if I don't, I know how I am with rejection, and so I had to cope some way.
Got you. Okay. So I know part of your like character development came from your mom. So how did you choose what parts of her you'd represent?
That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. Wow. That is a great question. The character itself is not just one person. Even the way she speaks is one aunt. Her boldness is another aunt. And like little annoying stuff within the house is, there you go. The stuff within the house that I observed. If I do a sketch about like Mama Junior outside of the house, I think I'm kind of taking on the persona of my aunt, who she's the one who would go in front of the church and say, pray for such and such because he got this, he got that, whatever. So it's that my mom, my actual mother, she wouldn't do that. She's shy. And she always liked to be real classy in public, whatever.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I guess I choose what I seen at home.
So how do you know what parts of the character is gonna resonate with the audience, or do you just kind of like see what you see, pick up whatever, and then see where it lands?
Yeah, it's almost like I wish, like I've been doing this character for going on 6 years, and I wish I knew exactly what worked, what didn't work. It's always like, it's still till this day. It's like you know what would, I think I've reached a level like I know what would work. But obviously you want better. So I want like, what would be that viralness? What would be, what would create that engagement within the comments of people going down their whatever. So even down to putting like little music in the background, it's a form of engagement that I try to get because it's a sense of nostalgia, and people always asking like, well, who sings that? Who sings that? Who sings that? So that's like one of my for sure things I know. But as far as like what would work, as far as the character, like what part do I want to come out? Nah, I guess it's more of, it's always like a sporadic thing. Nothing really like cooking for a while.
Got you. So I'm going to ask you a question that might be a little bit more on the difficult end, because there's like a little bit of controversy around this topic, but you play a woman, kind of, essentially. You're a caricature of a woman. Does that ever, like, first and foremost, are you afraid of being pigeonholed into that, like, character since you've been so popularized by her? And then also, go ahead. That was the first question, but go ahead.
No, you know what? I don't. And I have to have the mindset to understand, like, this is something that I'm getting paid for. And also this is something that's bigger than me. So the character itself is not like some people really get through their tough times and stuff. And the character have became such a staple in people's lives that some people see me, and it's fine. And it's fine because it's like, I'm promoting therapy. I'm not, even if I started with the blanket because I didn't want to wear a dress because of the negativity. And when I realized like how many people would trash talk or badmouth, and then like secretly asking me for advice.
Of course.
From then on, I realized like, yo, it doesn't even matter anymore because first of all, I'm secure in my sexuality, and like I'm not promoting me kissing another man or whatever. It's just literally I want you guys to see what I grew up with, and there's not a script. Well, even if I had a script, I don't know anyone that could play that part right now.
Right.
Now, obviously, later on down the line, you know, proper funding, we could do a worldwide search for someone, but you know, but I had these stories, and for me to say, yo, I ain't going to, I'm not going to. It's almost like if I had the option, like if I got to see like what came out of this and what would have came out, like if I didn't do it, like it's like, oh, it's no brainer. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I wish I did it earlier.
Interesting.
But I can't worry about that, man. Everybody got their own feelings. So
right. Not necessarily worried about it as much as I'm really trying to understand how you feel about being like stuck in that character, being able to like divest yourself from Mama Junior and then eventually moving on to just being yourself. You've already been doing it for 6 years. This has been like what you've used as far as the space that you've held in Haitian comedy. Do you have an exit plan? Do you see yourself not doing this in 4 years, 5 years? How is Mama Junior going to be laid to rest?
Mama Junior is going to be here for a very long time.
Okay.
Now, as far as like the skits online and all that, I don't know. But one of my exit plans is because of how impactful Mama Junior has been, I feel like she is ready to be taken mainstream. So I do plan, I do have a sitcom that's in the works.
Okay.
I do, obviously I have the chips. So, you know, there will always be an appearance from Mama Junior somewhere, somehow, whatever.
Right.
As far as like me being scared that I'll be pigeonholed, no, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all, because it's like I've seen so many leave what was working because of, it's a sense of pride, sense of ego. You know, you don't want nobody, I do more. But I can't let my pride and ego, now I've thought about it before, but I can't let my pride and ego stop what's already working and what is being receptive so well, and what people are paying. They're paying for access to. So it's like for me to say, oh, well, for my feelings, because I don't want you guys to think different of me, I'm going to stop doing something that's positive and profitable.
Right.
So,
okay.
See me, call me what you want.
Well, that's a good way to segue into profit. How long from the first time you were on stage did you begin to see some actual traction?
Traction as far as fans, money?
Yeah.
Starting,
I know you're enjoying the episode, but I wanted to quickly let you know about the book Converted. Uncover the hidden strategies you need to achieve massive credit score success. As you are on your financial journey, this book is designed to be the guide towards ensuring that your journey is as smooth as possible. Doesn't matter if you're clearing up your mindset or on the verge of having more money, credit is going to follow you forever. I bet you that you'll see. As you begin and continue to apply the resources mentioned in any given episode, credit will continue to come up, and we want you to get right. Go ahead and head to www.convertedcredit.com. That's www.convertedcredit.com. That's www.convertedcredit.com and get your copy today.
I would say 2016. 2016 is when, 2015, 16 is when I started doing Haitian stand-up comedy. And then I transitioned from doing American stand-up and American videos to just telling stories about my life that I thought was unique. And then that was then. But as far as like seeing money, I would say about 2 years later, my manager at the time, he was very he was very with it. Like he wanted to make sure that he gets all the milk out the cow. So me, I'm a nice guy, so I don't really like, money's not on my forefront, like automatically, because sometimes like with the right connection, you may never have to ever worry about money.
Right. True.
So, but I started about late 2017, 2018. I was able to quit my regular 9 to 5, and then to do comedy full time.
So this is recent.
Yeah, this was not like all the, like, as far as like the money success, 2018.
Okay.
Because the first 2 years I was getting money, but I was still working a 9 to 5, still living at home. This is like, oh man, you're giving me $1,000 to tell jokes. Yeah, I get to travel. Yeah, I'll take it. But now,
right,
grown with kids, and I'm not saying I got kids, but I'm just saying, like, people grown can't be doing that.
Right. No, that makes sense. So what were you charging at first? I remember you kind of mentioned or alluded to $50 for 30 minutes at one point, but have you seen, is that like standard or?
See that, and here's the crazy part. Like, this is new in our community. There was no one, there wasn't a standard to look after, right?
Right.
And at first, I thought there was. I was like, okay, maybe this is normal, or there is no real standards. Like, we're the first. And oh man, 200. I mean, less. I used to do comedy for guests, and then when I transitioned into the Haitian community, I remember our first tour in 2016. It was, I think I got paid $200 a show.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So I was actually going to ask about HAP, because I remember there was so many people involved in that movement and that organization. Was there a limitation in funds because the money was diffused between so many people, or like, and how did you decide between that large group? Like, let's say someone else were to want to recreate HAP, and they had like 8 or 9 people that they were comedians. How would you charge the amount that you need to charge to still get paid the amount that you think you deserve to get paid?
If anybody was doing that, tell them not to, right? Because it causes problems,
right?
Because there's always going to be somebody who feel like they should be getting paid more than everybody else, and then that will result into then people feeling like that, some people shouldn't get paid more. In HAP, I was splitting the money, I would say 5 people at. So that's essentially things getting split 6 ways. So you're doing a comedy show and you get HAP for like $5,000. And I wouldn't advise it. I think it's, and then when you have so many people taking percentages and that is a silly thing. That's something I realized. Like, I be giving people like, hey, you get this percentage, hoping that they would get the same energy and drive. But percentages are not the best.
So you would advise against it. So is it because there's no real way to like let's say it was you and like 2 other people, how would you determine who gets what? Because I'm sure equally you guys don't bring the same quote unquote value to the table. So how would you determine whether or not it makes sense to do it financially?
I guess, it all boils down to social media, right?
Okay.
Because social media equates to some type of equity and profit. Now, like with the tour I just did, some comedians, they had the social media following, some comedians didn't, but because the show was just for the culture, we really didn't have to make those choices so often. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll if I had two other people, it'll have to be like as far as profit and I'm a big quality guy. I could truly say my business partner is not really big on quality. He's more
the dollar.
Yeah, the dollar. He wants
the bottom line.
Yeah, there's some comedians who ain't need to make it on their followers or not, but whatever. Right. Yeah, I'm more of a quality, but so I mean, yeah, I don't know how I'd be I'm not fully confident in my answer, but I just know that like groups and all that, I'm okay with it, man. Just everybody just do their thing.
Gotcha. Okay, so you transition more into the partnership model versus like the group model. Let's ask another question. How did you decide from the time that you started to the time that you charge, like maybe close to what you charge now, that it was time to ask for more? Like, what was that switch that went off in your mind?
We did because like I said, Haitian stand-up comedy is very new. Haitian comedy online is new as well. Mm-hmm. So we did a show with, I believe, St.Fleur, my HAP, when I was part of HAP, and it was eye-opening because we seen how much money the previous promoters were making on us. Mm-hmm. Like even if we're giving them like $500, like they were giving us $500, there would still be like us paying the accommodations and everything, where when you look back, like, oh man, you could have covered their accommodations. Now I understand if you're getting a certain fee, because obviously when you're doing an event, the list of things to pay for, the miscellaneous pop-ups, it could be much. So, but when you realize how they could have covered what they needed to cover, they could have paid your ways and whatever, made you feel comfortable, and everybody could have ate. So that was a wake-up call, like, hey, we're being scammed. So my manager, I think at this point, like I'm not part of HAP, because that's when I really got to see my direct, because I didn't have to cut it up so many times. And from there, we just gauged it, like, on average, how many people are you bringing out? How many people, if there's an event, how many people are saying that they're coming for Success Junior? And from then, you kind of do the math, like, hey, ticket sales of this, Success Junior averagely, on average brings this, and then you want promotion. So that's how like the prices went up, and inflation. So
right. So yeah, well, yeah, for sure. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it definitely does have to do, it's a numbers game. It has to do with the pool, and it has to do with your perceived contribution.
Correct. Because I mean, I think for any business owner, like if like this thing could bring 40,000 eyes to your business, I think you're going to try to inquire about that. Yeah. So if I can bring you 40,000 eyes to your business, I cannot get paid $100. Right. I cannot get paid, Right. So, and I love it. I love it, especially within this industry, about how like a lot of them try to switch it up. And
like, how do they switch it up?
Try to make it seem like they're doing you a favor. Like, yo, I'm like, you get the exposure, I have this person, they're gonna be here, they're gonna see you, you don't never know what that's gonna open up. So yeah, do it. So let's do 500. You want me to leave my house for $500 for exposure?
That's funny.
And what's sad is, even as hard as I've worked these past 6 years, there's still people trying to get me to come out for exposure. And I'm like, when does it stop? Yeah. And I'll say exposure doesn't pay bills. Well, not directly. Right. Not directly. I need that money now. These light bills need to pay now.
Right. No, for sure. So I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how does content creation add to the overall value of what you're doing? Is it like, and I don't kind of want to lead you to the answer, but I know you said that pull and being able to just have those eyes on your content, whatever you're promoting helps, but what other ways does it help? And what other ways can people leverage that to help with their career as well?
Well, one thing that I've been able to achieve is that I like make my page, like I want you to see it as a network, right? Like I don't really put that many like personal pictures of myself or whatever. Like it's just I just want you to see a network. And once you kind of like start working on what you want people to see, even if you don't fully see it, the universe kind of like make people see like, okay, like this is a network. So when I have like other brands and stuff, like they approach me. So because of this network, I can show them the numbers, and the numbers would obviously, get you a well-paying commercial spot or whatever.
Right.
But that only comes from consistency.
Right.
Something that I struggle with, but I realize when I'm more consistent, more bookings, more exposure. Excuse me. Right. And yeah, but it's all a numbers game. If your numbers, especially in this generation, if your numbers aren't where they at, you got to treat your page like a network. That's why something I read recently. That's why they're capping the views, capping how many people see your stuff. Because if you have 100,000 followers and every time you drop 100,000 people see your stuff, then they don't need to go pay Doritos. I mean, Doritos don't need to pay NPC.
True.
Like these big corp, you got everybody, you have 2 million followers. Hey, I need 2 million people. Like that's almost like a Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to stop it. But essentially you're a network. So you got to treat your business like you have to dress this up. So anybody, and that's the great thing about social media, anybody in the world can see your stuff.
Yeah. I think I had that awakening maybe yesterday, oddly enough. Like I started picking up more speaking engagements for like personal finance. And I had a pre-call yesterday, and one of the organizers asked me what my social media following was. And I'm like, why are you asking me about social media? And, so she essentially ended the call saying like, we want people who can get into seats. It's not necessarily just the value that they bring. And I'm sitting here talking about, I'm an author and I'm this and I'm that. And they're just like, okay, so what else can you do? And who can you bring out? And I'm just like, oh, so this is the game now, essentially.
Oh, this is the game.
So you got to treat social media like a business, essentially.
Correct. It is your business. It is your network. It is your TV channel.
Right.
And that's how can I say it? I don't know how to say what I'm about to say without sounding like I'm saying like you should kind of like dim your light. But that's why a lot of people, like, you got to watch what you even post on your page.
Right.
Because it could stop you from certain bookings. And there's like other influencers that I was able to kind of coach into like even like speaking like vulgar and profanity. If you're in this community, that's like tough for you to excel. Right. A lot of people see that as a way like, oh, these Haitians not gonna tell me what to do. But you go to work, you tuck in your shirt, you put in you put your name tag in, you do what you got to do, so you can pay your bills. Right. So this day and age, social media, that's your job. Now, if you have that image that you can do it, whatever you want, whatever, cool. But for me, people think that's all mothers and whatever. Like, hey, think that, whatever. But I have steady income coming from
just social media,
entertainment. And from social media.
Right.
And the only way I can get asses in seats is through social media.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, that alone is scary too, because I mean, I wouldn't rely on social media. You see how they're like censoring people and how they're pretty much playing with people's livelihoods, aka Boosie, right? So how do you mitigate only being on social media and leveraging so much of your income on social media?
That's the thing. I guess that's with life. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So if I was I get paid, I've gotten contracts from Instagram for Reels, different contracts, but like I remember when Reels first came out to target TikTok, they were getting like creators with numbers, because I don't have 1 million followers, but like I always get because I have high engagement on my page, and a lot of people get fake followers and think that it's the jug, but in Facebook, like even companies now, you can research who has fake followers. But anyways, I was able to get like different contracts from Instagram. I got I think that they have different ways to get creators paid. But even then, I realized that I can't just sit here and rely solely on social media. And I've made great money from Instagram. Amazing. People won't even believe how much money I've made from Instagram.
I believe you.
And yeah, I still can't rely on it. Like I can't really see myself like, yo, yeah, man, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm making all this money also. I guess I don't know. I still want the live aspect, but I don't want to say like that's a business mindset. I don't know if that's the passion or I don't know. I just think that the live performances, especially with what we have been able to do, it kind of like we already have a standard. So now we've built that. So outside of social media, we could do something. But like I said, I don't know if I'm talking out of passion though. Because if you're making a lot of money, the average person probably just won't do stand-up comedy. Not the easiest form of entertainment.
Right. But that makes sense. No, that makes sense. So tour negotiations, proposals, you guys, how many cities did you guys just do?
We did 12.
Okay.
We did 12 cities.
Right. Do you remember all the cities off the top of your head?
All right. We started off with Montreal. Then we went over to Tampa. Right after Tampa, we did Naples. After Naples, we did New York. After New York, we did, don't tell me I'm gonna fail right now. All right, after New York, we did Virginia Beach. After Virginia Beach, we did Connecticut. After Connecticut, we did Dania. Dania, we did Miami. After Miami, we did Houston. After Houston, we did Boston. And after Boston, we did Atlanta.
Gotcha. Impressive. You remembered all that. What does a negotiation look like going into tours? Because I'm sure you have like venues and you have to pay comedians, travel. Like, how do you navigate all of those expenses and still turn a profit?
Okay. How to navigate? It was hard lessons. Even with this tour, it's a lot of hard lessons. This was like the first tour we kind of did, like Plus and I, we did without Menage a Trois, form of management. And so there's a lot of things that we learned, but nothing that I feel like that could have been prevented. Like I feel like we spent like a lot of money on accommodations, like a lot of money on accommodations. And the only way to fix that is, by cutting, how many people we travel with, how many comedians are on the show. As far as negotiating with the venues, we're still Black. We still ain't getting amazing deals.
Right.
But the thing is, if you have that mindset, then the barrier won't never be broke.
Right.
I know what I'm capable of bringing if I would have did a show at like a regular, like a cafe or maybe like a venue that I bought, that we rented. But going into these clubs, like we got great deals, but I could truly say on here, we never got 100% of the door like other comedians do. As far as like tabs, we paid on tab, food. Yeah.
So it's not a profit split. It's more like a how did you structure talking to a venue? I'm not really getting everything.
Okay, so let's say we speak to a venue and we would get zero alcohol.
Okay.
And even though, let's say, one night like a comedy club could bank $30,000 to $40,000 in alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get that. And some doors, I mean, like the ticket prices
mm-hmm.
were all percentages, and all 12 had different percentages.
Right.
And that all worked with faith and comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And these places, only 2 places had faith and comfort in us, which was the Miami Improv. And that's because we did the tour there the year before. And yeah, we did a few shows there.
Okay.
But a lot of shows, a lot of places, they either gave us like a crazy day, they'll give us like a Sunday or Tuesday, Wednesday show, which that's days that they're typically not open, or they give to like open mics, or so a lot of clubs were definitely amazed at what we're able to do. And so it goes back to what you were asking, but it's a mindset, because I really could have said no. I really could have said there's too many comedians, or I just want myself and 2 other comedians. So definitely being too nice in the business is costly. Definitely being too nice.
So from what I'm hearing, like, if I understand correctly, you were able to just kind of leverage some of those relationships based off of the people that you knew, and like, people like to do business with people they know and like, right? So you leverage that to get the other clubs, but they still didn't want to play ball as far as like giving you more percentage at the door, or like comping alcohol or things like that. So from this tour, could you try to leverage it for the next tour, since they saw what you were able to do with the pennies that they gave you?
Well, that's what the past 2 tours have been. They've been sacrifices. The first 2 tours are a sacrifice because the first 3 tours were a sacrifice, and those were able to open up doors for each one of them, because we did CTA, and from what we were able to do with Coming Through America, with our sketch tour that we did back in 2018, 18 and 19, and we used those numbers to show what we were able to do in the cities. And from there, Haitian Hilarity, the owner of the Improv called out to us, and they wanted to do a show, and we was like, all right, we'll just do something around Haitian Flag Day. And we did, and we built other cities around it based off of the stats that we had from the previous tour. Right. And then being what we did last year with H&H, this year we were able to bring it back using those numbers. So yeah, like you said, it's a numbers game. Like, without the numbers, but it's still sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's profitable, but let's say like this year, when we have a Wednesday night show or a Sunday night show in Virginia Beach, like, we all know certain days play a part with the success of a show. Doesn't matter who you are. You understand? Like, I love Drake, but if I got to be at work at 4 a.m. and Drake is performing the night before, I don't know. I can't. Right. So it's like, but it's sacrifices that we got paid more socially than dollar wise. Right. Because socially around the world, we just did something that was epic. We did something that was never done before. After accommodations and paying everybody, I got to go look on Indeed for the job. So it's like,
success.
I don't know.
Okay.
And then I'm a very nice guy. So it's like, in the beginning of the tour, I'm like, yep, $800. Yep, $1,500. Yep. Now I'm like,
so have you learned from your mistake?
Fun fact, I did, right?
Okay, good.
So the first Haitian and Hilarious, 2021, we had 4 shows and a whole shitload of comedians. And I was in charge of booking the comedians. This year, I told Plus, I messed up last year. I'm a grown man. I can admit when I'm wrong. You take over.
Okay.
My friend did not understand the politics of this thing as much as he thought he did. And the same amount of comedians end up on these shows like last year. And so I think this was a year that we had to really understand, moving forward, we love everybody. We love the culture.
Right.
But at some point we have to take care of our families.
So who eats that? Do you guys eat that cost, or does the club eat that cost? Does the consumer eat that cost? Who eats that cost?
We eat that cost.
Okay.
We've been eating the cost for a while. We eat the cost, and that goes under the sacrificing part. We eat that cost.
Right.
We have to go home to our girls and be like, hey, yeah, I kind of wasted my time. I'm sorry, I wasted my time again.
A whole month gone.
A whole month gone. I kind of wasted my time. And it's but this is all we made money. It's not, it's just that projections.
Yeah.
I was supposed to buy a Tesla. Now I gotta buy like a hybrid Sonata. So it's like, and but yeah, ultimately we eat that cost. Like we like accommodations. And that's the crazy part, because a lot of comedians who are on the show don't know what's going on. And then a lot of them come off titled, and I'm like, what's that? Well, you don't know that I'm sacrificed for you to sleep in this nice hotel. But it's cool though.
Right. Okay. Cool. So last question. Well, second to last. What advice would you give to any up and coming comedian to shortcut their success mentally and financially?
Mentally, you have to have some type of sense of I don't care type of confidence. You can have confidence in yourself. You can have confidence that you're going to get in the car, sit down, start the car is going to start. But you have to have some type of crazy confidence to know that you're going to sit in the car. You have to be at work in 15 minutes. You live 30 minutes away and you're going to make it. You have to have that crazy type of confidence. And you also, you cannot, you absolutely have to treat yourself like a Rolex, right? And what I mean by that is a Rolex don't have a commercial like that. And I'm not saying that's a lot of people, you got to start being a hard ass, especially in negotiation. But one thing that I learned with people who are starting out, one thing that I learned with people who are starting out is that you'll have like a lot of vultures coming, right? And they, like I said earlier, like they'll come and they'll really take advantage of you. They'll they even though they can pay you more, they can take care of your accommodations, whatever, they'll shortchange you. So I feel like you have to have. I went in not knowing my worth, and I honestly didn't know my worth up until 2019. So even while I was, having some type of success, I didn't know my worth.
Right.
I would take anything thinking that it's the betterment of my career.
Right. Especially
within the Haitian industry. I'm thinking like, a lot of these artists is, well, let me cut down my dollars because maybe they can help me out in the future. It has not helped me out. All right. Working with it has not panned out. So that means that essentially I've shortchanged myself all these years for no reason, for exposure that didn't happen. So you have to see yourself like as exclusive. There's a lot of people who are going to come to you. There's times if you're a new comedian, like maybe you don't have the funds, maybe you don't have that much money. Not every new comedian is T.I. and starting off with $1 gazillion.
Right.
So you have companies come out even with promotion. They'll be like, hey, I'll give you a T-shirt in exchange for promotion. First of all, if I have 20,000 followers, that like your t-shirt is $25.
Yeah.
My promotion does not cost $25 to gain my access.
Mm-hmm.
So lastly, to any new business owner, because you have to get in social media anyways. So that's why this message is for everyone these days. You have to treat your page like a network. You have to understand, like, you have to do things to kind of set yourself apart, but don't do it too much. Mm-hmm. An example of that, like, you know, like I'm one of the influencers that have gifts online, like the like the gift stickers and whatever,
the memes.
And I'm gonna say here, it's not that impossible. You know, it's a few emails and you could possibly, but I feel like not a lot of people. You have to treat yourself like a network. You have, like, people have to see, like, when they see you, they see how they can make dollars, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. Everyone is out to make dollars. You know how, if you're not useful, then you're useless. So I tell people all the time, use me, but obviously you got to watch who uses you, because one hand washes the other.
Right.
So you're going to help me do my credit.
Credit. Oh, I like how you snuck that in there. That's real cute. I like that. Credit. That's real cute. Okay. So with that being said, Success, if anyone wants to get a hold of you for business or for content, to consume your content, how would they do that?
Listen, you could find me on successjrcomedy.com. There's a lot of emails and stuff there, but on Instagram, success_JR everywhere, TikTok, success_JR, and Culture Chips. Don't forget to get Culture Chips. They're yummy. I got some mild coming out.
Thank you. Thank the Lord.
I'm gonna say this right here.
That first batch made me a woman. You hear me?
I'm gonna say this right here. Them chips too goddamn hot for me.
Okay, all right.
For me. Okay. We're gonna have to have another podcast so we could talk about. We have to talk about the ups and downs for Culture Chips.
Yeah, please.
Because the comedy world.
Yeah.
But Culture Chips,
like manufacturing, producing something. Yeah, I want to know.
Oh my gosh, and it's like so cutthroat. Mm-hmm. And you think like, hey, we're selling chips.
No,
I have rap snacks coming. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, rap snacks coming after me. Yeah, we're gonna have another podcast. We're gonna have another talk about that. Yeah, we got to.
I feel that. Okay, well, thank you, Success, again for coming on. I found this really insightful. I hope that anybody else that hears it does too. And
I hope any comedian who wants to start, just quit. We ain't got no more room. I'm just kidding.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mental Money Podcast. Please go ahead and remember to subscribe, but don't hoard all of this good information for yourself. Share this information with someone that you know could use it, especially if they need a shift in their mindset or someone who would love to have more money. So until we meet again, remember, like Uncle Snoop said, keep your mind on your money and your money on your mind.